Hi, I'm Caroline Gow in the Baird & Warner Glenbrook office, and today I have the privilege of meeting with our real estate attorney, Karen Patterson, who works with Baird & Warner Title, and we have a closing today here in our office.
Yep.
And we love closings, so thank you for taking a few minutes out of the closing to meet with me.
Oh, thanks.
And we wanted to ask you a few questions that would help my buyers and sellers to know what happens during a real estate transaction and some of the things that can make it easier for them. So on the sell side, can you think of a challenge that you've had and something that could make the seller have a transition go smoothly?
Sure. I think the best thing a seller can do is listen to their realtor, because intangibles like staging and decluttering and pricing it right is so invaluable to make the transaction go smoother. But from a legal standpoint, communication with me is so important. If a seller has an issue, if they are in the middle of a tax assessment contest, for example, or their property's in a trust, or they have a lien or a tax problem that they know about, if they tell me about that ahead of time or as soon as they can into the transaction, I can really make it smoother by handling that title clearance ahead of time, protecting them against any pitfalls as a result of those things before we even get in the weeds of the transaction. So I think communication with me is so important with a seller.
Sounds good. And then when you're representing a buyer, after we bring you the inspection report, and it's 64 pages long of a laundry list of things, what can you do to help your buyer make that smooth?
Yeah, I think the most important thing is for a buyer to read the inspection contingency paragraph in the contract prior to even having the inspection, because that really sets up what the inspection is and is not entailing. So a lot of people will get an inspection report with 64 items and think, well, I'm going to ask for everything to be fixed in an inspection report of the seller. Really what we're supposed to focus in on that inspection contingency in the contract is matters of health and safety of major components. So routine maintenance and minor issues are not supposed to be part of the contingency. So a seller is never going to want to take care of all the deferred maintenance items. They feel like they've already priced the house based on the fact that there might be some routine maintenance or minor repair items. A buyer really can't expect a seller to give them a house that they want, but rather the house that they're selling at this point.
Right.
So it's important for you and I to communicate with each other and with the client to kind of keep their expectations proper, remind them of what the contingency entails and what it doesn't entail, so that we can maximize their chance of success to get the seller to address the issues that are really important to them.
Thank you. Good suggestion. So Karen, can you tell me what are the challenges you've had this year and how you helped solve that for your client?
Well, I had a client not too far away that she had lost her job 4 years ago, and she just couldn't pay her income taxes for quite a few years. So she ended up with a pretty hefty tax lien, an IRS lien. And they filed it against the property, so we couldn't sell without paying off that lien. Well, as soon as we found out about it, she went to the IRS to get a payoff letter. And it's very difficult to work with the IRS. They work on their own time frame, and it's very slow in terms of the process. Well, unfortunately, the closing time came and we still didn't have that payoff letter. So we were able to get the title company to agree to allow us to close and hold all the proceeds from the sale until she got the payoff letter after closing. And then when she finally got it, we were able to pay off the lien, and the buyer was able to close on time. She wasn't having to keep the house any longer than she needed to, and we were able to get it resolved.
That's a win-win creative problem solving on that one.
Yeah.
Huh? Okay. So Karen, what was the weirdest thing that you've experienced this year?
I think the weirdest thing was a seller of mine had kept feral cats in his garage for years.
As in wild?
Yes, the wild cats would come and go when they wanted to, 365 days out of the year. So he actually had his realtor put in the listing that any potential buyer would have to agree to continue to take care of these feral cats after closing.
Okay.
So thank goodness he finally found a cat person and not a dog person, and that person did agree that they would take care of the feral cats after closing.
Oh my gosh, yeah, we see it all.
Yeah, we do.
Okay. Well, Karen, thanks so much for taking a few minutes. I really appreciate meeting with you.
Thank you so much. I
Take care.
appreciate it, Caroline.